The sterile, fluorescent hum of the Freedom's Reach Community Housing and Resource Center felt like a cage, not a sanctuary. Exhausted families, their faces etched with worry, navigated the cramped waiting area, their whispers a low, anxious tide. Behind the chipped laminate counter, Mr. Harrison, a man whose tie seemed perpetually too tight, offered a strained, apologetic smile. His nameplate read Harrison, Intake Coordinator. Dr. Lena Mev stood before him, her knuckles white as she gripped a worn folder. She was bone-weary, her spirit heavy from a week spent battling eviction notices and bureaucratic red tape. Her phone screen glowed, a lifeline to a community in crisis. "Confirmation for Unit 307, Lena stated, her voice firm despite the tremor of fatigue. "Approved. Paid in full for emergency relocation." Harrison adjusted his tie, his gaze flickering. "Yes, Dr. Mev, I see that. But there's been an unforeseen complication." Beside her, a tall man, quiet as a shadow, stood, Elijah Eli Vance. His worn jacket and steady eyes spoke of battles fought, not won. He placed his own phone on the counter, displaying the identical unit number, the same pre-approval code. Harrison's smile vanished. "It appears the system. Double allocated Unit 307, Harrison stammered. Lena blinked. Then fix it. Assign me another unit." Harrison sighed, a sound of systemic defeat. "We're at critical capacity, Dr. Mev. Every available unit in the city is occupied." Lena's voice sharpened, a blade cutting through the air. "So what do you suggest we do, Cher?" Harrison offered a small, nervous laugh. "It's just for the night, until we can re-evaluate. I'll ensure you both have separate access cards, a temporary measure." Lena turned slowly towards Eli, her eyes scanning him. His face was unreadable, but his voice, when he spoke, was a low, steady current. "If you're okay with it, Dr. Mev, I am." He said it simply. She studied him, unsure. There was an unyielding strength in his posture, a quiet dignity that resonated. But still, he was a stranger, another hurdle. "Fine," she said after a pause. "But I expect this resolved by morning." Harrison handed them each an access card. "Of course, Dr. Mev. I'll call you the moment a new unit becomes available." They walked to the elevator in silence. The metal doors hissed shut, and for a moment, only the soft hum of the machinery filled the space. Lena stared at the floor numbers, refusing to meet Ellie's reflection in the mirrored walls. He stood straight, hands in his pockets, a solid, unmoving presence. When they reached the third floor, the door opened to a stark hallway, the linoleum gleaming under the harsh lights. Their footsteps echoed, hollow. They reached Unit 307. Lena unlocked it first. The unit was small, functional. A single window offered a view of the city's towering inequalities. A twin bed, neatly made, and a small, worn armchair near the window. But the starkness did nothing to ease the tension. "Looks like one bed," Eli said quietly. Obviously, Lena replied, her voice flat, the weight of the day pressing down. She set down her folder and glanced at the armchair. "There's the chair. You can take it." Eli looked at the small seat. "Barely big enough for a child. You wouldn't last 5 minutes on that thing." He paused. "Neither will you." She didn't argue. He just said, "You take the bed. I'll stay up." Lena frowned. "What? That's ridiculous." Eli shrugged lightly. "I've done worse. I was a ranger. Staying awake is not new to me." That caught her off guard. "Ranger?" He nodded once. "Army." His tone wasn't proud or heavy, just a statement of fact. He walked toward the window, looking out at the city lights, a tapestry of distant struggles. "You can sleep," he said. "I'll keep watch." Lena laughed, a short, sharp sound, unsure if it was amusement or discomfort. "Keep watch for what?" "Nothing specific," he said, "but maybe you'll rest easier knowing someone's got your back." She didn't know how to respond. For a long moment, she just stood there, arms crossed, staring at him. Then she turned and sat on the edge of the bed. "I don't need protection," she said finally. "I didn't say you did." Silence filled the room again, the city lights reflecting off the window, painting stark shadows across the floor. Lena lay down, trying not to think about the man sitting just a few feet away. Her mind raced with every sound, The hum of the old air conditioner, the click of her phone screen, the soft rustle of fabric as he shifted. Hours passed. Midnight came and went. She turned to look at him once. He was still there, by the window, sitting straight in the chair, eyes on the skyline. The dim light from the city drew soft edges around his face. "You're really gonna stay up all night?" she asked quietly. "Yeah, that's crazy." He smiled faintly. "Maybe, but I've done it before." She turned on her side, resting her head on her arm. "You said you were Army, to tours overseas." He replied, "Now I work with community defense. Keep people safe from a different kind of danger." She blinked slowly. "You don't look like a tech guy." He glanced at her. "And you don't look like someone who judges that fast." The words hit her deeper than she expected. She turned away, embarrassed. "Sorry," she muttered. "No harm done." He said softly, "My grandmother used to say, people are good at pretending they're not afraid of each other." Lena lay still for a long moment. "Do you think that's true?" "I think we all need better teachers." She smiled faintly in the dark. "Why didn't you insist on taking the bed?" "Because you wouldn't have slept if I did." She didn't argue, and for the first time in weeks, Lena closed her eyes, feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time, safe when morning light touched the curtains. She opened her eyes slowly. Eli was still by the window, awake, sitting in the same chair. "You didn't sleep?" she asked. He stretched his arms and smiled gently. "Didn't plan to." Before she could answer, a soft, urgent knock came at the door. A new day, a new fight. But this time, she wasn't alone. The quiet strength of an unexpected ally, a beacon of unity against the systemic storm. Elijah opens the door. Standing there, clipboard in hand, is Mr. Davies, the hotel manager. His smile is strained, almost apologetic. "Good morning, Mr. Vance," he begins, a nervous tremor in his voice. "I'm afraid we're still at full capacity. No rooms have become available." Dr. Sharma, pacing behind Elijah, lets out a sharp, disbelieving sigh. "You're telling me, after all this is still the only arrangement?" "Regrettably, yes," Davies replies, avoiding eye contact. "We'll continue to monitor." Elijah nods slowly, a quiet understanding in his gaze, and closes the door. "Looks like we're still sharing the battlefield," he murmurs. Dr. Sharma is already a whirlwind of frustration, her heels clicking a furious rhythm on the carpet. "This is absurd. I booked this suite months ago. I have critical work to present, and I can't even get a moment's peace to prepare." Elijah's voice is a low, steady anchor. "You slept soundly, Anya." Her head snaps towards him, eyes blazing. "What exactly is that supposed to imply?" He meets her gaze, unflinching. "It implies your anger might be misdirected, Dr. Sharma." The silence that follows is a physical weight. She snatches her designer bag. "I'm late," she states, her voice clipped. Her tone is a shield. He gives a single, solemn nod. "Good luck with your presentation, Anya." She pauses at the threshold, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. But she doesn't turn, disappearing as the heavy door swings shut. Elijah returns to the window, a silent sentinel. His posture is unwavering, his gaze distant but serene. He had kept his silent vigil. He had ensured her safety, her peace. She just hadn't grasped the depth of that commitment yet. Dr. Sharma navigates the bustling corridors of the Global Tech and Innovation Summit. A blur of motion, the symphony of hurried footsteps, clinking coffee cups, and urgent whispers fills the air. Her head throbs, a dull ache from a night of restless thoughts and a little sleep. At the registration desk, a bright-eyed assistant hands her a sleek badge and a program. "Welcome, Dr. Sharma. We're thrilled to have you. You're on for the afternoon keynote," the assistant chirps. Anya manages a tight, weary smile. "Thank you." She steps into the cavernous main hall, where hundreds of ergonomic chairs face a colossal, illuminated stage. Massive banners proclaiming Global Tech and Innovation Summit to 0-5. Forging the future hang majestically from the rafters. She finds a discreet seat towards the back, seeking anonymity. Her laptop screen glows, but her focus wavers. Her thoughts drift, inexorably, back to the grand legacy suites, to the quiet strength of the man who had watched over her all night. Why? Why did he choose vigilance over rest? Before she can dismiss the thought, her fingers instinctively navigate to the speaker roster. Her breath catches. Her eyes lock onto a name that sends a jolt through her. Elijah Vance, CEO, Aegis Cyber Solutions. Her heart hammers against her ribs. He wasn't just a former military operative. He was a titan in his field, a keynote speaker at the summit. When his slot arrives, Anya lifts her gaze, a new intensity in her eyes. Elijah Vance strides onto the stage. He wears a tailored charcoal blazer, a crisp white shirt. No ostentatious jewelry, no flashy accessories, just an undeniable aura of quiet power, a confidence forged in purpose. He adjusts the microphone, his voice resonating with a deep, unwavering calm. We don't traffic in fear, we forge trust. My company safeguards the unseen, protects those who may never know our vigilance. And that, to me, is the truest measure of success. The vast audience leans in, captivated. His tone is measured, yet carries the weight of conviction. He speaks of digital sovereignty, of ethical innovation, of the moral imperative to do right, even when no one is watching. Anya finds herself unconsciously leaning forward, her fatigue forgotten. Then, a sneering voice slices through the air from the front row. A question, Mr. Vance. It's Senator Thorne, a notorious figure known for his sharp tongue and sharper ambition. His voice drips with condescension, a smug smile playing on his lips. When you're vying for those lucrative contracts, do you ever find that image tends to overshadow actual capability? A ripple of uncomfortable laughter spreads. The question isn't innocent, it's a thinly veiled barb, cloaked in fox curiosity, but steeped in blatant disrespect. Anya's jaw tightens, a cold fury rising within her. She sees the same unshakable calm in Elijah's eyes as he regards Senator Thorne. Senator, Elijah responds, his voice still even. I believe performance transcends perception. My clients don't engage me for optics. They engage me to solve problems. A stunned silence hangs in the air. Then a smattering of applause breaks out, growing steadily. Anya feels a fire ignite in her chest. She rises, her voice cutting through the murmurs. Clear and resonant. If image is the sole metric of value, she declares, her words echoing to the furthest rows, then perhaps some of us need to reevaluate our definition of professionalism. Mr. Vance has delivered more substance in 10 minutes than this entire morning's panel combined. Heads whip around, gasps ripple through the crowd. The moderator blinks, stunned. Senator Thorne's smug smirk evaporates, replaced by a scowl. Elijah's gaze finds hers across the vast hall. There's no anger, only a profound surprise, perhaps even a flicker of gratitude. When the session concludes, the applause is thunderous. As the crowd disperses, Elijah passes her row. He offers a subtle, almost imperceptible nod, a silent acknowledgement, a shared moment. Anya returns it, a wordless understanding passing between them. The rest of the summit passes in a haze for Anya. She stays for lunch, feigning interest in her emails. But her mind is miles away, replaying the harsh words she'd flung at Elijah that morning. A heavy weight of guilt settles in her chest. That evening, as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of molten gold, she returns to the Grand Legacy Suites. The elevator ascent feels interminable. Her heart thuds a frantic rhythm as she stands before their shared door. For a fleeting second, she considers retreat, but she doesn't. The lock clicks. The suite is bathed in the soft, muted light of dusk. Curtains drawn halfway. Elijah is there, on the plush couch. His laptop open. He looks up slowly, his expression unreadable. Didn't expect you back so soon, he says, his voice a calm current. She steps inside, the door closing softly behind her. Didn't expect to see you commanding a stage, either, she replies, clutching her bag. A faint smile touches his lips. I suppose we both have a knack for the unexpected. She places her bag down, moving towards the minibar. You were incredible today. Thank you, he says, closing his laptop with a soft click. You didn't have to stand up for me like that. I wanted to, she counters, turning to face him. You didn't deserve that insult. He leans back, observing her. You didn't have to speak up, but I'm profoundly glad you did. She looks down, her gaze fixed on the intricate carpet pattern. I was out of line this morning. I know, he says softly. She raises an eyebrow, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. You're not going to make this easy for me, are you? Nope. She lets out a soft, genuine laugh, shaking her head. Fair enough. A comfortable silence settles between them, warmer, more understanding than before. Anya kicks off her heels, sinking onto the plush carpet near the window. Elijah moves, settling across from her, the small coffee table a silent bridge between them. They order simple takeout, sharing stories and quiet laughter as they eat from the containers on the floor. The muted glow of the television casts a gentle light, a silent witness to their newfound connection. After a long silence, Alara's voice was a fragile whisper. I used to believe success was the cure for everything, that if I just worked harder, people would finally see me, respect me. But it's a mirage. There's always someone somewhere, ready to remind you of the ground you clawed your way from. Kian nodded slowly, his gaze distant. I know that feeling. I walk into rooms, and the assumption is I'm the driver, the security. You learn to expect it. But the sting never truly fades. Do you ever just get tired? She asked. He met her eyes, a quiet fire in their depths, every single day. But I keep moving, because some of us have to stand guard while others sleep. A sad smile touched her lips. Like last night, he chuckled, a low, rumbling sound. Something like that. Alara leaned back against the worn fabric of the community center couch. You stayed up for someone who saw you as nothing but trouble. I stayed up for someone who hadn't yet learned to see themselves, he corrected gently, his words settling like a warm blanket in the quiet room. Their eyes locked, a profound understanding passing between them, deeper than any apology could convey. The unspoken truth hung in the air, solid and comforting. Outside, the city lights blurred into a soft glow. Inside, they spoke of the small, sacred things. Favorite meals, the echoes of family laughter, melodies that brought comfort. Kian shared fragments of his time in service, the weight of loss, the hard-won lessons of patience. Alara spoke of her late father, a man who worked to sun-up to sundown jobs so she could chase a dream. Hours bled into one another, the room growing hushed. Kian stretched, his long frame shifting closer. You should take the bed tonight, Alara offered, her voice barely audible. He shook his head. I'm fine right here. Please, she insisted, her hand reaching out. You need to rest. He looked at her, then a slow nod. All right, but only if you promise to sleep too. I will, she whispered. He lay down, his eyes closing, a deep sigh escaping him. She watched him, a silent sentinel, as his breathing deepened, a steady rhythm filling the space. Alara smiled faintly. Now it's my turn to keep watch, she murmured. The first blush of dawn found her still there, half dozing, gazing at the awakening city. When Kian stirred, he saw her, a blanket draped around her shoulders, curled on the couch. He didn't wake her. He simply watched, a quiet awe settling over him, realizing the strange, profound beauty of two souls finding solace in shared silence. When her eyes finally fluttered open, he smiled. You kept watch this time. She yawned, a soft, sleepy sound. I suppose I did. Why? He asked. She paused, considering. Because it felt right, like the world finally made sense. They shared a quiet laugh, the invisible weight between them dissolving. It felt as if the very walls of the room had learned to breathe again. But peace, they both knew, was a fleeting guest. Alara's phone vibrated, a harsh jolt. She read the message, her face draining of color. Director Thorne wants to see me, she said, her voice tight. About the conference, Kian asked, his brow furrowed. She nodded, a tremor in her voice. I think so. Kian watched her pack her laptop, a grim determination in her movements. You'll be all right, he stated, not asked. She looked up, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Will I? He offered a gentle, unwavering smile. You stood for what was true. That is never wrong. A small nod, a fragile acceptance. She left for the corporate tower, unaware that this was not just a meeting, but a crucible, one that would forge her spirit anew. The executive lounge was a sterile expanse of glass and steel when Alara walked in. Director Thorne was already there, his tablet a cold barrier, his face a mask of polite indifference. The scent of expensive coffee did little to calm the storm in her stomach. She approached, forcing a smile. "Morning." He didn't return it. "Sit down, Alara." She obeyed, the plush chair feeling like a trap. The moment she settled, his voice dropped, a chilling undertone. "I saw what transpired at the summit." She nodded slowly. "I simply spoke up for what was right." Thorne leaned back, a predatory calm in his eyes. "That was not your place. You publicly embarrassed a crucial potential client, Paul Callahan. He called me this morning." Alara's hands clenched into fists beneath the table. He was disrespectful, dismissive of another speaker. I couldn't remain silent. He sighed, a theatrical display of weariness. "Alara, you must understand. The corporate world does not reward sentiment. We choose our battles with strategic precision." "Then perhaps that's the problem," she said, her voice quiet but firm. Thorne looked up, his eyebrows arching in surprise. "We value you. Alara, you are exceptionally talented, but this allyship, it's not your fight. You don't burn bridges for people who will never reciprocate." The words stung, a cold venom. Her cheeks flushed. "People like Kian, you mean?" Thorne didn't answer, his gaze dropping back to his tablet, a dismissive gesture. Alara's voice trembled, but with resolve. "I am not sorry for what I said. If that costs me something, then so be it." Thorne exhaled slowly through his nose. "Then consider this a warning, or a door closing. Your choice." She stood, her heart thundering a defiant drumbeat. "Then let it close." She walked out, head held high, before the tears could betray her. Back in the community center, she dropped her bag, leaning against the cool wall, breathing hard. Kian was near the window, his laptop open. He looked up instantly. "You okay?" he asked, his voice a steady anchor. "No," she said, a bitter laugh escaping her. "But maybe that's good." He closed his laptop, rising. "What happened?" "They said I should have stayed silent. That defending you was bad for business." He frowned. "I'm sorry." She shook her head. "Don't be. I made my choice." He studied her face, then nodded slowly. "You did the right thing." Her lips trembled, but a faint, resolute smile touched them. "I think so." He leaned against the wall beside her. "You know, when I posted about what happened, I didn't expect anyone to care. But now, I've got messages, some good, some bad. A few even said I caused trouble for speaking up." She looked at him, her eyes wide. "You posted about it. Just the truth, no drama." Her shoulders relaxed. "That was brave." He smiled. "Or stupid. Depends who you ask." They both laughed softly, the tension finally melting away, leaving behind a quiet, shared strength. Later, as the evening deepened, a new resolve settled between them. That evening, they ascended to the rooftop terrace of the Legacy Grand. The city air, crisp and cool, carried whispers of untold stories. Above, the vast sky bled from fiery gold to bruised violet, a canvas of fading light. Below, the city's defiant pulse began to glow, one flickering star at a time. Elijah leaned against the ornate railing, his jacket a dark silhouette against the twilight. "Do you ever feel," he murmured, the wind catching his words, "like some meetings are predestined, even when the world tries to keep you apart?" Amara turned, her gaze meeting his, a strand of hair dancing across her cheek. "Perhaps," she whispered, "but I am profoundly grateful we did." A faint, knowing smile touched his lips. "You possess a rare courage, Amara. Not the kind taught in textbooks, but the kind forged in the crucible of loss." And still standing, she looked away, a lump forming in her throat. "And you," she countered, "you carry a profound peace, the kind that makes others feel safe, even when the world around them crumbles." He chuckled, a low, resonant sound. "That's not peace, Amara. That's practice, years of it." They stood in a shared silence, the wind a gentle caress, the city's distant hum a lullaby of resilience. Mr. Thorne called again. Amara broke the quiet, her voice barely a whisper. "He offered me the promotion." Elijah's eyes, dark and steady, met hers. "That sounds like good news." She shook her head slowly, a bitter truth in her gaze. "He said it's mine only if I silence my voice." He called it risky optics. Elijah's laugh was a dry, knowing rasp. "Sounds familiar." "What did you tell him?" A faint, defiant smile touched her lips. I told him no. I'd rather stand jobless than be rendered voiceless. He stared at her, a long, silent moment stretching between them. Then a slow, deliberate nod. A quiet, profound respect shone in his eyes. You made the only call, Amara. The right one. The breeze strengthened, carrying the faint, defiant hum of the city below. Amara felt her heart steady, a new, unshakable strength blooming within her. Do you ever think, Elijah began, his voice soft, that perhaps we were meant to be double-booked, that it was for a reason beyond our understanding? She laughed, a quiet, disbelieving sound. It certainly didn't feel like it at first, but now she met his gaze, her voice dropping to a low, resonant tone. Now it feels like I was meant to be in that room, with you. He smiled, a genuine warmth spreading across his face. No one's ever said that to me before. Then it's about time someone did. For a timeless moment, their eyes held a silent conversation passing between souls. Then, slowly, as if drawn by an invisible current, they stepped closer. His hand, warm and gentle, brushed her arm. Her fingers found the rough fabric of his jacket. A soft, profound kiss followed, warm, real. A sanctuary from the world's clamor. No fear, no rush. Just peace. The next morning, the world felt reborn. They met for breakfast at the Beacon Diner across the street, the air thick with the comforting aroma of pancakes and fresh brewed coffee. Brenda, the diner's owner, a woman with eyes that had seen much and still held kindness, greeted them with a knowing smile and poured steaming coffee into their mugs. "Y'all ready to order, darlings?" she asked, her voice a warm embrace. Elijah grinned. "Pancakes for me, Brenda, extra butter, please." Amara smiled, a genuine, unburdened light in her eyes. "And scrambled eggs, please." Brenda nodded, a silent blessing, and moved away. The small table felt like the center of the universe, the air around them, wide and calm. I used to believe places like this, with this much heart, simply didn't exist anymore, Amara said, stirring her coffee. "They exist," Elijah countered softly. "We just forget we belong in them. Forget our right to claim that space." She looked at him, a thoughtful, almost reverent expression on her face. "I judged you the moment I saw you." He didn't flinch, his gaze unwavering. "Not because I hated you," she clarified, her voice soft with regret, "but because I didn't know better. I was blind to the strength beneath the surface." He nodded slowly. "But you learned, Amara." She smiled, a radiant, honest smile. "I did." Their food arrived, a simple feast. They ate slowly, sometimes laughing, sometimes falling into a comfortable, profound silence. It wasn't awkward. It felt profoundly right. After breakfast, they walked back to the Legacy Grand. The grand lobby, once a symbol of sterile power, looked different now. Warmer, somehow. Perhaps nothing had changed, or perhaps everything had. Ms. Jenkins, the desk clerk, offered a genuine smile and a wave. "Good morning, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Kerrigan. How was your stay?" Amara smiled, a deep, knowing smile, unexpected, but profoundly worth it. Ms. Jenkins chuckled softly. "Glad to hear." Elijah turned to her. "Ready to face the world again?" She nodded, pulling her suitcase, a symbol of her journey. Behind her, they waited near the grand, revolving doors. The morning sun, a golden benediction, streamed through the towering glass walls. "Funny," she mused, looking around the transformed space. "Just a few days ago, I couldn't wait to leave this place. And now," he prompted gently, "now, I don't really want to." He smiled, a quiet understanding in his eyes. "Perhaps that's because you're leaving." Double quotes. "Different than you came." "Perhaps," she echoed. Outside, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. The driver stepped out, a silent sentinel, to load their bags. Amara turned to face Elijah, her eyes soft, brimming with unspoken emotion. "Well," she began, her voice thick, "this has been something else. Definitely not a normal hotel stay." He replied with a gentle, knowing grin. She laughed, a fragile, beautiful sound. But her voice shook. "That first night, you said you'd stay up and keep me safe." He stepped closer, his presence a steady anchor. "And I did." "You did more than that," she said, her voice breaking, tears welling in her eyes. You made me see myself differently. You reminded me of my own power." He looked at her, a long, profound moment of shared understanding. Then, a slow nod. "I didn't expect any of this either, Amara. Neither did I." The driver gave a soft, impatient honk. She reached for his hand, her fingers intertwining with his. He held on, just long enough for the world to slow, for time to stretch. "Take care of yourself, Amara," he said softly, his voice a promise. "You too, Elijah." She climbed into the car. As it pulled away, she looked back through the tinted window. He was still standing there, hands in his pockets, a silent, steadfast guardian, watching quietly. For the first time in a long, long time, Amara felt a profound peace, not the kind that comes from comfort or complacency, but from courage. Because sometimes life doesn't give you the room you expected. It gives you the person you needed to help you find your own.